passed information back from our method. So we had return data types that sent the information back, and we captured that on this side. But now we need to know, how do we get information into here? So if I go ahead and I declare a variable in this one, we're going to go ahead and declare a string color equals green inside of here. And what I don't have now is access to color in any of my other methods here. So if I want to try to access color here, and we're going to try to just do a system out, and we're going to try to do color, it's going to say not visible. I don't know what you're talking about. You can't say that. When I declare variables in methods, I don't have visibility to them in other methods. So how do I get from one into the other one? So let's go ahead and talk about that piece of it. So the first one we're going to do is, whoops, let's take out this piece here then too. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this practice one and we're going to pass some information into it. So if I want to pass information into it, we got to tell it what type of information we want to allow access to. So we're going to go ahead and allow you to pass in a Boolean, and then we're going to give it a name whatever we want. We'll go ahead and just call this one B. So now this is going to break my start, because to access prac1, I must send it a Boolean. So over on this side of it, notice I've got a bunch of red here, and it's saying that, hey, you can't access this practice one because you don't have a Boolean. So to meet the requirements, I can send it a true or a false. And in this case, it's going to send in a true value, and in this case, it's going to send in a false value. So now over on this side, I can go ahead and do a little bit of a extended coding here. We'll do an if statement, and we're going to say if B. So if I send in a B, we can return Homer. Else, we can return Marge. So if it comes in as a true, if I send in a true statement, we should get Homer back. If I send in a false statement, I should get Marge back. But to access this, I must send it a true or false statement. So if I come over here, and A should equal Homer, and this one should print out Marge. So I should get Homer, and this one should print out Marge. And then A, being that's Homer, is that one's going to print out Homer. So let's go ahead and run that and see if we get Homer, Marge, and Homer. So if I run that, actually this one does not print anything out. So so that one does not print anything out. So I only want to see Marge and Homer, which is what I saw before I quickly jumped away. So there's Marge and Homer. Let's go down to the next one here. So we have another one we're trying to access, this one. So it's not public or private. It's package protected, which means anywhere in the package has protected to it. But this one's going to take two numbers. So it's going to take int A, and it's going to take int B. I need to send two pieces of information when I call this method. And when I get done, I'm going to return A plus B. I'm just going to add those two numbers, and I'm going to send it back. Oh, this is a common mistake that would pop up. This is unreachable code. And Eclipse is going to tell you that you have a return statement that you will never get to, because as soon as it gets to this return line, you can't go any further. And since everything is going to return, I can't get to that line of code. So that will be an error you'll get sometimes, where it'll say you'll have unreachable code. Just means that you can't get to that. Some logic in there is not allowing you to get to it. So now I need to send two pieces of information. So if I come over here, we now broke practice 2. So if I have practice 2 here, we have to send it two pieces of information. So we'll send it a -7, and we'll send it a 123. The next one here, we're going to send in a 4, and we're going to send in a 12. And on this side, we're going to send in a -6 and a -10. Okay, and actually I don't want to do that because that's going to be exactly the same. It's going to zero it out. So we'll go ahead and do a -11 there. And then down here, I got to send in some more information. We're going to do 999, and we're going to send in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nice. I don't know if that might be too big of a number there. Let's go ahead and run this. But notice all of these have two parameters going in, because that's exactly what I'm requiring over on this side over on there. So if we run this now, look at these numbers that we have now. So we've got some big numbers going on. It's actually doing math to figure those out. So when I send in -4 and 123, I'm going to add those two together. So -7 and 123 are going to come into A and B. I'm going to add those two together and I'm going to immediately send them back over. So that should do -7 plus that should be 116. So wherever I print out C, right here is 116. So if I run that, there's my 116. Everything else has different math that shows up. So 4 plus 12 is 16. -6 plus -11 is -17, which gives me the -1, which is exactly what I got in that piece. And then my math down here continues on that piece of it there. So the last part down here, we're going to go ahead and do our Boolean. And in this case, we're going to send in a string. And we're going to go ahead and do string A and string B. And we are going to do a little if statement. We're going to say if A dot equals, because this is a string compare, so we have to compare our two pieces using the dot equals. So let's go ahead and fix our spelling on that one. So if A equals B, we are going to send back a true statement, return true, else we're going to return false. So if they equal each other, we're going to go ahead and send back a true statement. Otherwise, we're going to send back a false statement. So if I come into this bottom part down here, we're going to send in, let's go ahead and send in Bob and Mary, which should not be the same. So we should get a false statement in that one. And if we run it, we get false. But if I send in Bob and Bob, and I run it, I get my true statement back out of it. So I pass in Bob and Bob. They've come into A and B. A dot equals B is true. They're both the same, returns a true statement. So this is not unreachable because if is not true, then it goes ahead and returns false. So even though I have a return statement up higher here, the logic will allow me to potentially get to the false statement. So that is the parameter understanding. A lot more to cover with methods and a lot of practice you're going to have to do to get good at it.